What's up, everybody? It's Katrazz, and you're watching Drinking at Moe's.
All right, everybody, welcome to Drinking at Moe's. Host Big Mo here, getting things back going. I have with me today a guy that I heard quite a bit about when I was stationed down there in San Diego. Didn't actually end up getting to see him, but I'm getting to talk to him now. Katrazz, how the hell you doing?
What up, Big Mo? Thanks for having me, man. Hey, so you were stationed in San Diego?
That I was from, I think, when was it? 2009 through 2012.
Was it Navy?
Yep.
Yeah, man. Thank you for your service, brother.
Thank you. Yeah, one of my two first indie promotions I ever went to that got me started going to indie shows. One of them I was doing when I was doing my homework, found out you've been there quite a little bit. SoCal Pro.
Yeah. Jeff Dino's company. Yeah, they're blowing up even more now.
I know. I've been hearing lots of good things about them, especially after coming back from the whole pandemic stuff. They're doing pretty good for themselves.
Yeah, definitely.
And been lucky enough to talk with one of my favorites down there who's actually starting to, get on the road to a bit of a comeback. It's SoCal Crazy.
Yeah, that was scary what happened to him, man.
Oh, yeah. Like, I remember when my first interview with him that I got to do, it actually getting to see him for the first time in a while. It was like, I'll admit, in my head, I'm like, oh, damn. But, he got the cancer-free diagnosis. He's looking on the road to making a little bit of a comeback, and he's actually going to be he's got his benefit show in November that he's going to be doing.
Nice.
Seems that's picking up some steam.
Good. Yeah. He's a good dude. He's one of the good dudes, man.
Oh, that is true. I nothing but love for the guy.
Yeah.
First thing I like to normally start off with everybody is what got you started as a fan, and then what got you started, deciding to make the leap into the business.
Man, so let's see. It's funny because my parents actually wouldn't let me watch it, like growing up. So I really didn't get into it till I was like, dang, I want to say like maybe 20, 21, 22 years old. Like I was a late bloomer into it. And when WWF would do shows at the sports arena in San Diego, I'd go watch them. They come like once a year. I think they come to that, like Southern California.
Yeah.
So I watched them a couple times, and then the one time there was a flyer on my car, and it's like somebody flyered the parking lot and said, we got a wrestling school, blah blah blah. And I was like, you know what, F it, I'll see, I'll make the call, and I called, and it happened to be, I'm from, you remember, Vista?
Yeah, yeah.
So that's where I grew up. So school was like in Vista, like 10 minutes from my house.
Okay.
So it was meant to be, dude. Like,
yeah.
So, I was like, because, so long story short, I grew up playing sports all the time. Like my main sport was baseball. I did a year of junior college baseball because my grades were shit. So the second year I effed up, dropped out. Like I blew it, dude. So the whole like weekend softball drunk games and all that it just because I still had that desire to like to compete. So this when I found out about this school, it was just perfect timing. It was just meant to be, and all all downhill from there. It was all good, man. Just started training, and I don't even think it was 2 years. It was like maybe a year and a half, and I had my first TV match against Test on WWE.
Oh yeah.
Well, I think WWF at the time. It was F. It was Jacked or
so one of those shows.
Yeah, he was like the European champion or some shit.
Okay, I remember that time. Yeah, I do remember. I do a lot of looking up on that cage match website where like a whole database they got going. And I do remember coming across that one. I'm like, oh, okay.
Yeah. And right around there, well, it was before that. That's when I got in with UPW.
Okay.
And they were the big thing going. And I mean, shit, what Rick Bassman did is probably never going to happen again. I mean, he brought the WWF they were the West Coast developmental for WWF.
Oh, yeah.
And he got dudes so many dudes signed, and between that and then touring Japan and getting dudes on TV shows, like what Rick did it was phenomenal. Like so many people, John Cena. Rick. I mean, that's who I was in. I was in classes with John Cena, Samoa Joe. I don't know if you remember. There's going to be a lot of older names, but the guy's still going, like Frankie Kazarian. He's still on TV once in a while.
Yeah.
The Nathan Jones and John Heidenreich, who they were around. I think John Heidenreich ended his career. He was tagging as one of the what are they called? I can't think right now. The old school dudes that painted their faces. The Legions of
Doom. He ended up becoming one of them for a little bit.
Yeah, so he was John Heidenreich, and then Nathan Jones. His gimmick thing was he was like Undertaker's protege, because this dude was like pushing like 7 foot, big ass dude.
I remember
those dudes. I don't know if you remember the girl Victoria.
Oh yeah,
yeah, she was in my class. There was tons. Like the Miz. And it's funny because on the UPW shows, the Miz was like a mid Carter at best. And now look at him, dude. He's the shit, man. He's blowing us. So good for him.
Oh yeah, no, that stuff, even especially right now, the current stuff he's got going with Dexter Lumis is getting kind of entertaining.
It is, but the Miz is he's probably, in my opinion, one of the top performers. He gets it, man. He's so entertaining to watch. Like I'll record these shows and fast forward, and I always stop when he's on the TV. I got to see him do it.
Yeah, I mean, when you talk about it in that aspect, I mean, I guess that is the reason he doesn't. Well, yeah, he still calls himself the most must-see WWE superstar.
Yeah,
you know what? There is a point to that, because I mean, I got to give it to him. For as much shit as people gave him in the beginning, I mean, he's putting on some of the most consistently entertaining stuff there.
100%. If you would have seen, like, I'm telling you, at best, he was a mid-carder. Just this goofy-ass dude wearing jeans, and it was to see him now is just, it's stoked. Like, I don't know if you know who Tom Howard is.
Vaguely remember.
So at the time when we were doing the Japan tours, he was the number one American in Japan. And he was the head trainer for UPW.
Okay.
And he's even like apologized to the Miz, going, man, we didn't use you right. But I mean, at the time, he wasn't the Miz at that time. He wasn't at that level. So
no, that makes sense. Everybody kind of works into it at their own pace, and he's definitely getting in that pace there right now. That's for sure.
Absolutely. He's the top guy. Yeah.
Definitely. One thing when I was looking up, that towards the beginning of your career, it was kind of interesting, because I'd see a lot of matches with this guy, but then also tagging with him quite a bit. This Hardcore Kid.
Oh yeah. Yeah, Aaron. He was a Hardcore Kid. Then he was Aaron Aguilera.
Yeah.
And then I think on WWE, he was Jesus. He was Carlito's bodyguard.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So it started with a promoter in the Anaheim area. AWS. I can't think of the town. Anyways, we did a match. I think we did it there, and because of our height and size, we both kind of like we clicked because we both did that. We were tall and big, but we were agile. Like that dude. He's like 6'7", and the stuff that he's fun. We both moved like cruiserweights. So we meshed with our matches like against each other, and we started doing. There was numerous matches like you were saying against him, and then that's when Bassman saw we did a feud with UPW, and it was pretty funny. Like those are on YouTube too. Like one of them was out at the entrance of it was going to be a Falls Count Anywhere, and it was in Laughlin at a casino, and he's walking out of the casino trying to get in a taxi, and I happen to be the taxi driver. And we do this full Falls Count Anywhere outside the casino, and it ends up into the arena. And I think that was our first UPW match, and then we did another. It was a I Quit match.
Okay.
And that was again in like the Anaheim area for UPW, and we built this little feud up, and then that was the final. And I don't remember his manager was El Jefe, the full on Cholo dude, like
okay,
old school Cholo guy. So that was his manager. So the storyline was that he wanted to bring me in as his tag team, and that's how we became a tag team. We built this feud up, and I think we were like not to freaking brag, but we were the biggest and baddest tag team on the West Coast, and we were running through a lot of promotions, and we were picking up a lot of steam, and that's when he got signed, and it was the best thing like for him, and I was so happy to see him get signed because he deserved it. He's a hardworking, good dude, man.
Oh yeah, everything that I remember seeing of him, I can definitely say that about him myself. I know we'll talk about some of the guys that I saw in matches that you had with him in a little bit. I have a category towards the end, but we kind of brought up a little bit about SoCal Pro and AWS, or as an alternative wrestling show. I remember hearing a lot about AWS when I was in San Diego. Mm-hmm. They had some steam, but then it's like they took a little bit of time off.
So here's what happened. With the steam that you're talking about, the reason why that steam picked up is because Adam Pearce started doing the booking. And that's when the steam picked up, and there was some amazing feuds. Those are great war games on YouTube too that we did. It was like me, Adam. You seen that one?
I caught a little bit of it. But yeah,
there's real good war games on there. But that's the steam that you're talking about. When Adam took over the booking, and that company was just picking up like phenomenal. It was phenomenal. And then I want to say, the promoter lost the building. Something happened like that.
Like that. I remember
something where it was like a break, but then he found another place. But that little break kind of messed everything up, and then I think that's when Adam stepped away too. So
that makes sense, because I do remember vaguely hearing something about that when I was down there. That something with the building, and then I think it was around maybe a little bit after I had left that they started doing shows again. So it was like, oh, well, okay.
It ended up being like an outdoor place, and it just wasn't the same. Yeah.
That's too bad. But I hear. Well, I haven't heard too much about them lately. I thought I remembered hearing that they were still doing stuff.
Yeah, I don't know. I haven't heard either.
But we did talk about SoCal Pro, and they're still going and doing pretty strong right now.
Yeah, the promoter, the owner, he's one of those guys that gets it. Like there, you can tell, like, especially he's been over 10 years that he's been around. So those guys that have longevity and they're just keep getting better and better. Those are the promoters that get it. And yeah, dude, all props and respect to him, man. He gets it.
What are some of your memories from shows there at SoCal Pro?
So I really didn't do too many there because at the time that he started running, I moved to Vegas.
Oh, okay.
So I want to say my first match back was right after we did the MTV, the Wrestling Society X.
Oh, yeah.
And that was his big show at a high school. And we wrestled. I was the main event against Jason Redondo, and I think it was for his belt.
Oh, yeah.
And the thing that the whole thing that sucked is we had a spot where he was up on the ring post outside the ring, and the spot was I was going to swing a chair and he was going to move. So the school, the school, like, he lost that building because I used the chair as a weapon.
Oh.
We had to write these like stories to the principal, and I was like, it's wrestling, blah blah blah, and he still lost the building. But that was my first time. And then I wrestled Carl Anderson, who we all know. He's the tag team with what's his name?
Luke Gallows.
Luke Gallows, a big man, dude. That's another good dude. So I wrestled him there. There was a couple other matches, not too many, like I said, because that's when I was in Vegas. And then I was real, still to this day, I appreciate it so much as I asked him, because this is when I was doing my retirement thing, if I could do, because that's my hometown, that's where I started. I asked him if I could do one more match back home. And he let me pick my opponent. I got to pick, I don't know if you remember, Slim.
Oh, yeah.
Slim. So that was my road dog. Like he's one of my best friends. And dude, we've traveled the whole West Coast for years, just me and him. I mean, we've probably wrestled each other. That's how it worked, is we drive through hours and then wrestle each other, drive through hours and wrestle each other. So, it was a huge thing for me to be able to do my retirement match against him. And it ended up being a tag match, but it was cool.
Yeah, I think I remember, what was it, you and Tommy Wilson?
Tommy Wilson, another comeback story.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, he had a pretty big health scare there that, he
very scary.
Definitely looked like he lost a little weight, but he seems to be getting right back out and doing pretty damn good.
Yeah, good for him, man. That was some scary stuff too. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Like, I remember actually have him on Facebook. I remember when I first heard the whole story about what happened, I'm like, oh, damn.
Yeah.
And then he kind of brought it up just a little bit ago, doing some of those Wrestling Society X shows. I, for one, was a fan. Like, it was something different. And, I just remember all of a sudden, the season's going, and then, oh no, it's gone. And I remember I actually got to talk with Ryan Katz.
Yeah.
Back, and kind of got a little bit more of the backstory behind it. But what were some of your memories from those shows? Because they put on some crazy stuff.
Yeah, man. So how do I say this? Maybe it was too much ahead of its time, maybe. Because if you look now, recently at Lucha Underground, they kind of took from it. So maybe there was a little bit, or maybe too much pyro made it cheesy, but that's what MTV wanted. But I mean, dude, Kevin Kleinrock, he's the promoter, producer of that, who's just another phenomenal promoter that's done a lot. He did XPW.
Oh yeah.
And then So real quick, I got to give these guys a shout out because there's like 4 promoters.
Oh yeah.
I throw Dino in there now that I've worked with that they're phenomenal promoters. They deserve it. They're the best that I worked with. Number one, obviously Rick Bassman. Everything he did, he brought WWE to the West Coast, and all the opportunities that we've had, with Mexico, Japan, and just a lot of TV. Kevin Kleinrock, obviously with Wrestling Society X, that gave a lot of us local independent guys a TV platform. And Dave Marquez, I don't know if you're familiar with Dave Marquez.
I am very familiar.
NWA, and I think he's doing, I forgot the name of his group, but that guy's been around forever, and he's a phenomenal promoter. Gave me some great opportunities. And then, of course, out here in Vegas, Joe DeFalco. Oh. Future Stars of Wrestling is that's another guy that just gets it, man. And that company's blowing up.
That they are.
I would throw Jeff Dino in there too from SoCal Pro.
Yeah, DeFalco there. I actually believe I have him on Facebook. I at least have him on Instagram. I've been trying to talk to him about possibly doing the show, but I did have a guy on that is heavily involved there with Future Stars of Wrestling, Remy Marcel. You got to talk to him, and I ran into him actually at show up in Fargo. I knew the promoter, and for me making the drive up there by myself, he's like, "Hey, you want to be special guest ring announcer for your friend's match?" I'm like, "I get to be in the ring with a microphone?"
Nice.
But I ran into him there, and then when I got this going, I'm like, I wanted to have, some of the people that got me started with independent wrestling and gave, people that I'd met throughout the years. I wanted to get them on, and just to have fun and talk wrestling, because wrestling has given me so much, especially with some of the anxiety stuff that I've dealt with since being back from the military.
Right.
It's been a constant, steady escape from okay, I got that going on, but hey, there's wrestling on. I can watch that for a little bit and just
whatever it takes, man.
And, I've been so far having fun with it. And those guys out there at FSW, they're putting on some pretty great stuff. That is true.
Absolutely. It's funny. I wouldn't be where I'm at without wrestling too. So, I can't just shit on wrestling. I never will. But it's funny too, because when I moved out here, I finished up some of my bookings back home in San Diego and Southern California. And I actually I was kind of done with it mentally and physically. It was almost like a year. I was out. I kind of just took the time off, and how did it work? WWF was doing a show in Vegas, and one of my friends, Navajo Warrior, another UPW guy, he was affiliated with them doing something with them. So I called in a favor and got tickets for my kids. And so the plan was that I would just stand in line till they got, because they're younger, preteen, and stand in line with them until they got up to security, and then they would go in and do their thing, and then I'd pick them up after. Well, while I was in line, so one of the Joe's guys came up, and he's trying to hand me a flyer for the wrestling school. Hey, you want to be a pro wrestler? All this shit. And I was like, no, I'm cool, but thanks, bro. And then somebody else came a few minutes later, with another flyer, but it's promoting their show, because they just started doing small shows in Vegas. And I took the flyer, and I was like, right on, thanks, dude. And then, of course, right away, Joe comes up after and goes, hey, you're Alcatraz, aren't you? And I was like, yeah, and we, he stood in line with me for a good, I want to say it was at 30 to 45 minutes, till we got up to security with my kids. And this dude, that's why I say Joe's on that list, is the first 5 minutes, you can tell if somebody's full of shit or not.
Yeah.
And the shit he was saying, like, he got it, man. And he actually, it was crazy. He lit a fire under my ass to get back up into the pro wrestling. And I owe him a lot too, because I did like a good 5-year run out here with Future Stars of Wrestling. Yeah. And I got to wrestle Eugene, from WWE, Johnny the Bull. Well, that dude's like so much love and respect for that dude, and he's a beast. There was who else? There was Davari.
Okay.
Like, because they put I was their champion at the time.
Oh,
and
yeah.
I had this big run, and like Michael Modest, who's big and been around forever. Kenny King. Yeah, love that dude, man. That as funny as that AWS company when he first came back from Tough Enough. I had one of his first matches back was against him. And talk about like a Miz where he had these like shiny pants and he's just kind of like, but that talk about a dude that blow up, and he's a good solid dude. He's actually one of the trainers. So I got to like this run that I did out here in Vegas for 5 years. It was a phenomenal run, man. I owe Joe a lot for that. It kind of like like my second wind of my career. So
that's awesome. And like you said, there's you can often tell when talking to somebody about just about any subject, really, whether like they get it or whether you're just full of shit.
Right.
It's always nice, especially when you got a passion for a subject like professional wrestling, when in particular, and you find those other people that they get it, and you can tell that they aren't just blowing smoke up your ass.
You get those promoters that they buy a ring and rent a building and they put themselves in the main events because they're the shits and never trained, and that's the only way they're going to be on the show. You got plenty. I've been around. I've been on plenty of those shows, but yeah, you're right. You can tell right away. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I've definitely ran into a few of those, and ran into people that they somehow are able to get on the show because they, I guess, more or less mooch off of different people. And I won't name names because I refuse to give certain people that airtime, but the people that they end up working for are solid enough people, so I don't want to feel like I'm disrespecting them by trashing the other person either.
And that's another thing, downfall to pro wrestling, which I saw a lot of too, is promoters are trying to save money. So you got these guys that'll work for free, but they're untrained, and so they're going to put them on the shows, and unfortunately, that probably still happens to this day with these smaller guys.
Like, I remember this one actually happened recently where there was this last man standing match, and the rules, as far as I've always understood it, if the person's down, but then they end up getting attacked again, the count stops. This ref kept on counting, like to a point where it happened multiple times throughout the match. I just started screaming, "The count stops when he's getting attacked, you."
And that just shows you too how important a referee can be to a match, especially if he's untrained. He could F up a whole match. So refs play a really important part, huge part in that.
Oh man, that they do. And like, I've been lucky enough to run into quite a few really good ones, but then I ran into a few not so good ones, like I mentioned. But shit happens. You brought up retiring from wrestling. What brought up that, like the thought of it being that time? Because everybody's got their own like either a moment or a series of moments where it's like, I might need to hang up the boots now?
So, man, maybe there's a few of them, but more or less, it was my body tapping out. My brain still wanted to go, but being that I started late, man. I started at like, I think I was like 27 years old when I started. So, like I'm 50 now, but I've retired. It's been like probably 8 years now. But I was late into it. But I blew it out here in Vegas. I had during that good run. I had some injuries, like I had some nerve damage in my neck, and instead of taking the time off, which there's some great advice to any young guy listening, take care of your injuries. They're not going to get better. Take care of them or it's going to get worse. So I let it go because I was just having such a good run and I knew my time was coming because I was getting old.
Yeah.
I didn't want to take the time off, which would have been maybe only a few months.
Yeah.
But in my mind, I didn't want to lose, that run. And it ended up being I let it go. The nerve damage in the neck where I lost all the size of my triceps. Like I had no triceps, I had no chest. Like and I let it go for so long that now it's permanent damage where I can't get like a pump in my triceps. My chest doesn't grow. Like I let it go and now I have permanent damage. But it was just, I think pretty much my body saying enough's enough. And there was a lot of younger guys coming up that I don't know if it was my ego. Maybe it was my ego. You can even give me your opinion on what you think, but I was always like out here in Future Stars Wrestling, I was pretty much like the main event guy. Like I was one of the top guys. And I didn't want to get put back into like, I'm the older guy. I don't want to get pushed back into like a mid-carder, because then I'm admitting that, you know what I mean? Like I wanted to keep my legacy where I was a top guy. I don't know if that makes sense.
No, it makes perfect sense. Better to realize when that time's approaching so you can, if you want to make that choice to, still have that legacy of being the top guy and I guess more or less end your run on top.
Absolutely. And this is where I have so much respect for Joe DeFalco too, is I told him a year in advance, I go, this is my last run. This is my last year. And so he gave me, we did some good stories. We started putting over some of the younger guys, pushing younger guys once I got to that end. And now the dude that my last match that I lost to is one of the biggest independent stars. I don't know if you're familiar with Alexander Hammerstone.
Oh, yeah. No.
He's the MLW champion. That guy's, I can't believe he's not signed. I mean, his time's going to come. He's a phenomenal worker. He's a great attitude, a great dude. And I was so glad that was my last match. So we did like a little storyline leading up to it. And, that he was my last match and I put him over and that was the best thing. Like I was glad I did it, especially where he's at now. The kid's just blowing up.
Oh yeah. He's doing big things. And another guy that, maybe someday down the road, I can end up getting to talk to him myself because, anybody, whether you're relatively new in the business or, a veteran and retired, if you're anybody willing to come on my show and talk wrestling to me, I am more to have them on.
Right on. Yeah.
But going back to, Hammerstone and some of the, current product going on, do you pay attention to a lot of the current product out there?
I do for the reason that I know a lot of them and I just want to see what's going on with them. Because, a lot of it I fast forward to. I can't lie. Some of this stuff is hard to watch. Like I don't get some of the new, everybody's going to say this when someone like me starts I'm not bashing, I'm just saying, then they're like, oh, he's the grumpy old veteran, and I'm not the grumpy veteran. Like I'm easily to entertain and some of the stuff I just don't get what's going on now. Yeah. But anyway, no, I record all of them. let's see, there's NXT, Impact, AEW, and then of course WWF. If I can see you saying WWE. And like
man.
Yeah, like the I do Impact because like Kenny's on there, Willie Mack. There's some guys that Chris Bay from out here. He started out here.
I actually just ran into him this last weekend at Wrestling Revolver, Sammy Callahan's promotion.
Yeah, you need to get him on your podcast, Chris Bay, because he started like out here. He's like Kevin Cross, what does he go by now? What's he called now?
Cross? Killer Cross?
Forgot. But he's the same as Chris, where they started at FSW.
Oh yeah. No, I would love to have him on. Like, he was pretty cool to talk to for the little bit that I got to talk to him at the show this last weekend. But man, that was some insane stuff that I saw there. I had never been able to see a legit death match before that night. Like, all the matches I'd seen in person were all those, they basically just called them a death match, and it was more of a regular hardcore style match. But this one was like literal light tubes, barbed wire covered stuff, thumbtacks. It ended by them taking 4 metal folding chairs and bridging 2 panes of glass on it. And then Jake Chris, who was one of the guys in the match, which shout out to him. He's been a pretty good friend of the show. His manager, I see him pull out lighter fluid, and I'm like, I'm on my feet and my jaw just goes on the floor. I'm like, literally power bombs a guy through the on fire glass. And I'm like, it was insane.
More power to them, man. If that's what they do, that's a whole nother genre, whatever you say it right there. But.
Yeah, no, that is definitely true. And I mean, I'll give it to anybody that's willing to put themselves through that type of a match, because man, I watch it and like my body hurts just watching it.
You got a high tolerance for pain.
That is true. I mean, I got a lot of respect for some of them, because there's a lot of those air quotes death match guys that, they can actually go in like a regular style match. Like I talked with Alex Colon for the show, and like he can really go outside of the death match genre. It's just he seems to be more known for the death match genre.
Right. Yeah. I guess whatever bills.
Yep. Hey, but if you can be successful at it and you're willing to put your body through it, why the hell not?
Yeah.
But like I mentioned a little while ago, I have these couple of categories towards the end. One of them, I name off some people that, while doing my homework, I saw that you shared the ring with, whether facing off against them or teaming with them. And you just give me your thoughts on them, how you see fit.
Okay.
One we kind of talked about a little bit, doing some pretty big things. Looks like he might have ended a run with Impact, but Carl Anderson.
He's a phenomenal worker. I think his, I don't know the story, but I think when he left Japan, if he left Japan, because him and Luke were huge in Japan, the Bullet Club. Like, so I don't know if, he decided that was his decision and then to come back over here and just do Impact. But he had a phenomenal run in WWE. Those guys had a great run too. No, that dude's a solid dude, man. I love that dude. He's a good dude.
Oh yeah, I think they might be going back to Japan, because last I saw, Carl Anderson actually has the New Japan's never open weight title.
Oh, good, good, good. No, that's an excellent guy, man.
Oh yeah.
All the best.
Next one, two people, the tag team. They kind of ran into some hot water here recently. I won't give my opinions on that whole situation because it seems like just about everybody has, but the Young Bucks.
So this is how I got introduced to the Young Bucks was through UPW. They started at the school and they were like, shit, dude, they were probably like maybe 15 years old. They were just kids. And I'm always gonna have respect. Like we were in a lot of shows together out in LA. The reason why I'm always gonna have love and respect for them is because when I would do shows, I'd bring my sons, and my sons were like probably like 7 and 8 at the time, maybe 6, 7. They were little guys. Before all the shows that I was on with the Young Bucks, and I brought my sons to, they were in the ring doing matches with the Young Bucks. The Young Bucks would play with them and do the ring. And dude, you can't, dude. That's just and that is just that's the ultimate respect, man. They just always showed my kids love and respect, and in the time, they didn't have to, but they did it.
Oh yeah.
And then it was pretty cool. So this is after they, obviously they went and blew up in Japan. So this was, it was a Future Stars Wrestling show that they were on. And I got one of my sons was at the show, and my sons are like 6'2" now, 6'3", big ass dudes. So they're bigger than them, but it was cool. We got to see them, and the Young Bucks parents were there, and I'm like, yeah, we were telling the story of how they played with them, and so no, it was cool. Like, and it's good to see where they're at. Hopefully, they just keep going on whatever's going on with the company. But those guys are hard workers, and they deserve everything where they're at.
That they are, and it's one thing, hopefully I'm sure they can bounce back from everything. And it's one thing with people always wonder, when you're not in one of the bigger companies, it's like, oh, can I really make money, independence? But good Lord, those guys made some damn money just doing independence. Like, those guys, like,
it was their style. Their style fit every promotion.
That is true. Yep. And it's just, there have been times where I'll admit I probably haven't been their biggest fan, but I got to give it to them. Those guys have put in the damn work.
Oh, yeah.
And I got nothing but respect for that.
Absolutely.
Next on the list, Lil Cholo.
Oh man, we go way back too. We actually, I think that we were, so my very, very, very first professional wrestling match, I think he was on it. I actually have it on VHS tape. And I think this was in Vista, California. And I think he was on it. And we did some cool, like, we did a little feud at that AWS. And that dude's like, he's such a good attitude, like a solid dude. Like, I was glad to see his little run in Lucha Underground. And he's he's an amazing worker. Like, he can hang with anybody in American or the Lucha style. Like, he's a phenomenal worker, No, I love that dude, man. He's a good dude.
I hear he's doing some good things with I don't remember if he's still going by this now, Mariachi Loco. Here they're doing some pretty good things out there right now. So
nice.
That I'm a big fan of both of them. Next guy that I actually got to see a handful of times when I was out in California, back when he was the NWA champ. Now he's doing some pretty good things for himself there over in WWE. Adam Pearce.
Yeah, Adam, that's my boy. So let's see, how did I got introduced to him through UPW. So we didn't know who the heck this guy was. He came in, we knew he was from like Green Bay or or Wisconsin or wherever he's from. Chicago. And he came in and he made an impression like right away in UPW, and that's kind of hard to do because of the talent that they have, and the way that company was run. And he ended up living he's from San Diego at the time. He was in San Diego, so we would do the car. Anybody in San Diego, we were carpooling. That's how, like, me and Slim and Adam, and there was a few other guys like the Dynamics, Jason Allgood. There were some other smaller guys, Kevin Salisbury, some guys that were on these shows. We all had our own little like San Diego group that would carpool. And it kind of always, it got always where it ended up being like me, Slim, and Adam were on like a lot of the Northern California shows. And that was like my two original trainers, I had so much respect for them. Corey Van Cleek and Tom Howard. And then once I started being on shows with Adam, he then took my game to another level. Like, I just, the dude, he was always coaching us, always wanted to make us better. And that dude, he's the psychology that he was teaching us and stuff. It was just phenomenal. Like I said, when he took the AWS on that run that company had, is because he was doing the booking. Like, it was just, there was some crazy stuff that, you learned how to get the fans eating out of your hand. And I had a lot of love and respect for that dude. And I learned a lot from him.
Oh yeah. No, you hear it being said about, this person or that person about having a great mind for the business. That guy had it.
Yep.
Definitely from, AWS. And like, I got to say, AWS, when I was down in San Diego, I would hear a lot from the people that I'd run into before doors open at the SoCal Pro shows. I'm like, oh my God, AWS. And then, everything he did with Ring of Honor.
Yeah.
Over there. And, like I mentioned, a handful of times I got to see him with the NWA title and the run that he had with that. Right. And now everything that he's doing over there, behind the scenes and on screen with the WWE. Like, I remember, just recently, the little in-ring segment he had with Ronda Rousey, where it's like he really started laying into her. I'm like, oh, damn, there's the head. Here's, I remember.
It's phenomenal. His mic work is phenomenal. Like, those guys, they're lucky to have him backstage at WWE. Like, if they just shut up and listen to him, like, which I'm sure a lot of them already are, like, this, they're going to learn so much from that guy.
Oh yeah. And actually, well, leading into this, I usually have it as my last question, but my next category, I throw in some random questions, some wrestling related, some not. Answer how you see fit. Like I said, I usually have this one towards the end, but since we kind of just went over this, what are some of your best advice for people wanting to get into the wrestling business? One that I often hear is something that you kind of just brought up, is, just shut up and listen. Like, I hear a lot of people that I've asked that question just say, eyes and ears open, mouth shut.
Yeah, that's great advice. But even before that, I can't stress this enough, is do your research if you want to go to a school. There's a lot of people out there that say they're a pro wrestling school and they have zero experience. Like, do your research. Please do your research. It's going to, not only are you just going to throw your money away and not learn anything, and it's going to be dangerous and not safe health-wise for you. Do your research, because there's a lot of pretenders out there. And, like, the perfect example out here in Vegas is they have their trainers is, obviously Kenny King, Disco Inferno, WCW.
Okay. Yeah.
Sin Bodhi, who he had a small run in WWF, like the dude's phenomenal talent. You know, I know D'Lo Brown. I don't think he's out here anymore. D'Lo Brown was one of the coaches. You know, you got these guys that their name is, you know, already speaks for itself. But yeah, do your research on a school, man, because you're gonna go to school with some guy that has a couple dollars in a ring, and you know, I see it all the time.
Yeah, no, when you get into the business and you're wanting to, you know, really get your money's worth, you definitely want to know that you are under a reputable person, because, you know, like we've kind of talked about, there's so many out there that, well, aren't so reputable, and, you know, you get so far into your career and then you just start, maybe not even that far into your career, and you just start racking up injuries because you just weren't trained all that well.
Right. And you know, nowadays the internet's on your phone. Find out who the trainers are, and all you gotta do is Google them, and you know, that's how easy that is. And then the only other thing I would say too is once you're in, you know, your training should go, depending on how quick you pick it up, 6 months to a year. Then look to grow. And what I mean by growing is look for another school with maybe the trainers are another level above your original one. Because my original trainer, I wouldn't be nowhere without him. He gave me the foundation. Like Corey Van Cleef, you know, he went by TNT, this big old country boy from Oklahoma. He beat our asses, you know, and he taught us the right way to learn the business. Like, you know, 3-4 days a week, he was literally beating our ass. You know, it wasn't like, you know, go in there and hit your moonsaults and flippy flops and shit. There was none of that. It was, you know, he gave me the foundation, and I appreciate him so much for that. And then that's when I went to UPW to the next level, and that was Tom Howard, who took my game to that level where I could learn the psychology and all the other stuff, you know. And then I was fortunate to get in with Adam Pearson, and you know, it was just levels, and that's what, you know, don't just get stuck in one promotion with one trainer. Once you know you're at that level, take it to the next level. You know, stay hungry. Stay hungry and don't have an ego, because you can always better yourself. Dude, when I was here in FSW, and I'm talking, I've been in the business almost 15 years already. We had guys like Lance Hoyt, I mean, Kenny, Disco, Johnny the Bull. We had because they were bringing in all these top names. I was asking them, you know, for advice for my matches. I had no ego. I was humbled. And I was going to these guys at this time in my career. I was asking them for advice. And, you know, just because you can always better yourself.
That is true. And I mean, you can only better yourself by, you know, taking little bits of pieces from, well, just about anybody. You know, anybody can give you advice on stuff, and you have people like Hoyt or Archer, Kenny King, you know, guys that, you know, they've been on that national TV level, and, you know, well, to this day still are. You know, they, you know, you get a chance to pick the brain of people that have been up there. It's like it'd almost be foolish not to ask.
There's a reason why they're still there, and they've been doing it for so long. There's a reason why. Those are the guys you pick the brains. Yeah,
definitely. Next question. Must have road trip supplies like snacks or whatever.
So mine was, I always had to get Subway and sugar-free Rockstar. That was my pre-match. Had to.
Okay. What would go to Subway sandwich?
I usually got, well, as I got older, I had to watch my gut a little, and I got the wheat bread with the tuna. But before that, it was a club, man. I just needed all that meat.
Yeah, no, that I remember my go-to was always the either the Italian BMT or the spicy Italian. I love them.
I hear you.
Alrighty. Next one. craziest in-match moment?
Ooh. Trying to think, man, because there might have been a few of them, and it had nothing to do. It was the fans running in the ring. It was always that would be my craziest. Was like there was a couple where the fans and this is how stupid the fans were. It was a UP. So back in the day, UPW. I mean, if you saw their roster, I was one of the small guys. I'm talking like, dude, they had monsters because that's how Rick Bassman. He would go promote. He would go get these like bodybuilders and turn them into pro wrestlers, and then get them signed. Because that back then, that was the air was like the steroid air and all that stuff. Where they wanted those the big guys. I was the small guy at UPW. So there's a battle royal. And these two drunk guys jump in the ring, and I remember the one dude he didn't even get 2 feet on the ring. He was knocked out, and the other guy was. They both like I was actually like telling wrestlers stop kicking him, dude. Like just like stupidity. Like you're talking a battle royal with just a bunch of meatheads and stuff. But I mean, there was never like I don't know if I was fortunate, but like some crazy stuff. Because it always happened in other matches, or there was guys getting hurt in other matches and stuff like that. But no, it wasn't too crazy like that.
Huh? That's interesting. Like they always tell you, to not jump in the ring if you're not one of the wrestlers, and you always like, oh boy. You see footage of it all the time of it's like once you cross over that threshold, they just wail on them.
No rules after that.
Yeah, definitely. And it's funny. Like, I guess now I can kind of laugh at it. The whole, you brought up it happening with you in a battle royal. It's like, dude, it's one thing when it's just like 2 other guys in the ring, but the amount of guys that can be in there in a battle royal and you're going to be that dumb.
Just a ring full of meatheads just kicking on these dudes. It was crazy. Yeah.
That is funny. All right. Last but not least, favorite drink, alcoholic or non?
My favorite drink is I'm wearing the shirt.
Okay.
So me and my wife started a coffee company. It's coffee called Throat Punch Brew. So
okay.
I'd put that coffee up against anybody's coffee. Like it's the smoothest. Like you don't even need cream with it. Just drink it straight up. It's real good, solid coffee. It's called Throat Punch Brew. Go to throatpunchbrew.com. Check out our coffee. There's my cheap plug.
Yeah, we'll put the link we'll put a link that in the description of the YouTube version. But that is about all I have for you today. I want to thank you for taking the time to talk to me. And
appreciate it, man. Thanks for having me.
Definitely. It was a fun time. Always love talking about it.
And I see you repping SD, man. I appreciate that one.
Oh, yeah. That, and I got a tattoo on my right calf of the same logo with an anchor hanging from it.
Nice. Right on. Yeah. We did many military bases out there. Yeah. I remember even doing we did a tour of 2-week tour in Bosnia, Sarajevo, Kosovo.
Okay.
There was probably like 5 or 6 bases we did. It was good times.
Nice.
Yeah, that was fun. I loved doing military shows. Like we did a lot at Camp Pendleton.
Okay.
In Oceanside, because that's where we did a lot for the Marines when they were either getting ready to go or coming back. So they were either like aggro, ready to go, or they were like, coming back still aggro. So we would do a lot of shows for them and stuff. So yeah.
You get the aggro, trying to get yourself pumped before a deployment, and then you get the whoa, we're back.
Yep. Yep.
Been there. Well, anyways, I probably ought to get my dogs fed, but
all right, man.
Always fun. I will keep you posted. It'll probably be next week. I'll get this edited and get it out there.
Cool, bro. Appreciate it, man.
Thank you.
Be safe. Later.